Today's standard is to create worksheets using spreadsheet commands, functions, and formulas. The objective is, by the end of the period, the student will be able to enter basic formulas into Excel using numbers and relative cell referencing. Today we're going to be working on how to enter formulas and functions into, or formulas basically, into Excel. The first thing I need you to notice is that just by typing in the numbers, for instance, if we wanted to add this number to that number, if you just type in the numbers 141 plus 239 and then you hit enter, that does absolutely nothing. You need to do something in order to show that you want Excel to do a formula. So that's something that you need to do is to enter an equal sign. The equal sign tells Excel that you want it to do something in that cell. For instance, you want it to add 141 to 239. Remember that Excel, just like in math, does their operations in a particular order, and it's the order of operations. These are the operators that they use in Excel. You have your exponents, which are the caret, so be 3 to the power of 3. Multiplication, 3 times 3. Division, 3 divided by 3. Addition, 3 plus 3. And subtraction, 3 minus 3. And remember, in Excel, all of these would begin with an equal sign. So we are now back to doing formulas and functions. Now what happens if we change this 141 to 150? Notice that this formula here did not change, and that's because we didn't use cell references. So watch the difference between using the numbers in the cells and cell referencing. Cell references is when you use the cell references to do your equations. So I'm going to hit equals A3 plus B3. There's my formula. I'm going to hit enter. Now this is A3 plus B3, but watch what happens when I change that back to 141. Notice that the cell changed. Here in C4, I'm going to type in equals, and I'm going to click on A4, click a minus sign, then I'm going to click on B4, and I'm going to hit enter. And notice that it now gives me a negative number, negative 246. In cell C5, we want to show what multiplication does, and so we're going to say equals A5 times B5, and we're going to hit enter. Now again, notice when I click on C5, here is the formula that we created, but in the cell itself it has the product of that function, that formula. In C6, I'm going to put equals. Remember, all forms and formulas start with an equal sign. A6, this time we're going to divide it by B6, and we're going to hit enter. Again, notice that the formula is actually still in the cell, but what you see in the cell is the product. What you see here are all basic formulas. Let's see what happens when we do a complex formula. We're going to say equals. Remember that with Excel it does parentheses first, just like you do. So we're going to say A3 plus B3, and we're going to close our parentheses, and we're going to multiply that by 20. And we're going to hit enter. And it says our product is $7,600. $7,600. Alright. We are then going to, in E3, we're going to type that same formula, but this time without the parentheses to show the difference. We're going to say equals A3 plus B3 multiplied by 20. And notice that we have a very different product than what is in D3. Now I'm going to show you what happens if you forget a parentheses. So we're going to put just one parentheses into the formula and we're going to hit enter. Notice that it now gives us this nice little error sign, and it says, do you want to make the correction below? Now say that you don't want the other parentheses at the end. You can click on no, and it'll let you know that you're still missing one, and it'll tell you to go ahead and finish it. So at that point you could just go ahead and put your parentheses behind B3 and say enter, and then you notice that your formula now mirrors the same formula in D3. They're the same formula now. Excel also allows you to copy formulas from one location to the other, and when you do that, what ends up happening is it takes these cell references and it changes the cell references to relative to the cells that are in that same location. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to copy the formula from D3 down to D4. Notice how in D4 it's the same formula, but instead of having A3 and B3 it now has A4 and B4. That reflects the fact that you moved down one set of cells. Notice that the formula is up here in the formula bar, but your answer is in the cell, and it shows you what that answer should be. Now in D5 I'm going to show you what happens when you use what is called a absolute cell reference. In D5, I'm going to type in, I'm going to say equals, and I'm going to click on A3. Oops, sorry, I'm going to click on A3. Alright, now I want this to be an absolute cell reference. So I'm going to hit the A4 key on the keyboard and it will give me the absolute cell reference. And then I'm going to hit the parentheses and I'm going to click on B3. Oops, I forgot to do my multiplication, so I'm going to hit F2, type in my multiplication, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on B3. And again, I'm going to hit the F4 key to make it a absolute cell reference, minus 200, and I'm going to go ahead and close my parentheses, and then I'm going to hit the enter key. Now notice it says 5499 there. I'm going to copy the formula from D5 to D6. Now notice that because I used an absolute cell reference for A3 and an absolute cell reference for B3, neither one of these changed. The 200 also stayed the same because it wasn't referencing anything. Well, that doesn't tell you a whole lot, so let's do this. We're going to go to E4, and we're going to put in equals, and we're going to click on A4, and again we're going to hit the F4 key to make it an absolute cell reference. Then we're going to click on the plus sign, and we're going to click on B4, and then we're going to hit enter. We're going to copy this formula from E4 down to E5. Now notice this time the answer changed, and the reason why the answer changed is because even though A4 stayed the same, the other reference, which was B4, remained a relative cell reference, so it changed going down one when you went down one because it's still relative to the location where you're at now. So it went from A4 or B4 to B5. We're going to copy this cell reference one more time down to or over to F5. Just like that. Again, notice that A4 stayed the same, but this time it's adding by C5. Okay? To give us 19,336. Or sorry, 19,113. The last thing we want to talk about is this lovely sum button over here, this auto sum button. I'm going to click in cell D7 and I'm going to click on auto sum, and it automatically selects the numbers above, which is just fine. But if that's not what you want, you can highlight the range that you want it to add, but we're going to leave it like it is now, D3 through D6. We're going to hit enter, and it automatically adds up the numbers that are in that range. That auto sum is lovely because most of the time what you're doing in Excel is adding up ranges. As you move on to more advanced things in Excel, you'll find that the sum button is nice because it means that that's one less function that you have to remember later. Good luck with your assignments, and I hope that this video helped you to learn how to do your formulas, and just watch it again if you need to.